Hi, my students. So let us start with the first topic in this chapter, which is talking about water. First of all, let us explain the process of doing the chemical test for water. We have two chemical tests. The first one by using copper sulfate, and the second one by using cobalt chloride. Both of them, these two compounds, both of them, their colors will be changed if we are adding water to them. For example, the copper sulfate, as we talked before, its color is white if it is an anhydrous crystal. Anhydrous means a powder that does not have any water between its molecules. If we are adding water to the compound, the color will be completely changed from white to blue to give us a hydrated compound, which is called hydrated copper sulfate. When I say hydrated, this means that it has the water molecules the water molecules between the crystals of this compound. So as we said before, the crystals of the compound contain water particles inside the crystal itself, which gives it a color, a specific color, like a blue in this case. So the thing that you have to memorize it here, the color of the copper sulfate before adding water, the color of the copper sulfate, which is blue after adding water, and you have to know the formula of the hydrated copper sulfate, which is CuSO4.5 H2O, and the formula before adding water, which is CuSO4. Okay. The second test by using anhydrous cobalt chloride, CoCl2. You must memorize its formula also. The color of the cobalt chloride is blue before adding water. When we add 6 particles of water, if you want to balance the equation, we will get a compound which is called hydrated cobalt chloride that has 6 water molecules between the crystal of cobalt chloride or inside the crystals of cobalt chloride, and the color will be changed from blue to pink. You must take care about this note. The anhydrous means without water. So adding water turns the anhydrous compound to the hydrated compound, which means that the water molecules are, in this case, the water molecules are called water of crystallization. So if I heat this compound, the copper sulfate, the hydrated copper sulfate, or the hydrated cobalt chloride, if I heat any one of them, in this case, we are removing the water of crystallization. Now, what are the uses of water? Of course, at home for drinking, cooking, washing, or any other use, the use that you want. In the industry as a solvent, as we said that many chemical reactions, we add water to many chemical reactions as a solvent. And I think that you have taken this in biology also. To cool the tanks where the reactions are going on. In many reactions, we need water just as a coolant to cool the engines or to cool the tanks that are storing the chemical reaction. Here, the manufacture of sulfuric acid, you will take this in more details in chapter 9. So right here, between brackets, chapter 9. So you will take the steps of manufacturing sulfuric acid and where we can add water to this process in chapter 9. Also the manufacture of hydrogen for HEPA process, also right here in chapter 9. Manufacture of ethanol, right, chapter 10. So manufacture of sulfuric acid and HEPA process, both of them in chapter 9, and manufacture of ethanol in chapter 10. Just memorize them as they are, and we will check the details later on. on the farm, of course, for watering crops and for animals for drinking, and you can add any other logical using of water in any farm. Now the purification of water in this figure in page 13, not necessary to know the details of this figure. Actually, this figure looks like the figure that you have taken it in grade. Okay, this figure you have taken it also in grade 8 in chapter 3.1, grade 8, purification of water. Actually, this is the same thing. You don't need to know the details of this process, enough to know 2 steps. They are asking about 2 steps about filtration and chlorination. So these steps in general, not necessary to know them. Actually, they are adding A here. A means additional, so don't worry about the details. And actually, this drawing also is the same as the one that you have taken it before in grade 8. This one. So let us explain it from grade 8 book because it's much easier, and actually you don't need all these steps. So they are collecting the water in a big tanks. Then a screen or a grid is used to collect big objects like trolleys or any other big objects. Then they are doing a process of sedimentation to let the mud and other particles to settle down. Then they are using filter beds. This filter beds is responsible for filtration, and this process is very important. They call it in your book filter beds or sand filter, as you see here. Filtration or sand filter by passing through the beds of sand or filter beds. So this is very important process. Why? To collect the insoluble particles that are sticking to the filter beds, leaving water alone. So the water will pass only through the filter beds, leaving the other particles that are like mud or tiny stones or whatever. They are filtered and stuck with the filter beds. So this process is very important. They are asking you about it, the filter beds. Sedimentation, actually they are not asking about that, and even if they ask, it's very easy. It's just a process of decantation or sedimentation, which is leaving the particles to settle down, then pumping water into another big container. Then the next step, we must add chlorine to kill the microorganisms, because in this case the water particles are not clean 100%, because we are just cleaning or removing the sands, the mud, the gravels, the big objects in the previous steps, but we don't remove the germs. So we are adding chlorine to kill the germs or the bacteria. Then the final step, to pump water into a big tanks, then to homes. So the second step that you must memorize it is chlorination, which is adding small amount of chlorine gas to kill bacteria and germs. Here also fluorine may be added to fight tooth decay. So the main steps that you must memorize it from this whole story is 2 steps: filtration and chlorination, the definition and the purpose of everyone.